So the land grant mission was an attempt by the federal government to provide an educational level up to the college, mostly for college level, for anyone, not just the elite, not just the rich. And so it was an attempt by the federal government to provide a college education for anyone who wanted to try. So initially, they took about 10 million acres from Native American tribes, and they used that land for several things. One was the Homestead Act, which provided places for new settlers to move into mostly the Midwest and the West. And then they also set aside certain federal lands to support these land grant colleges. That's where it gets the term land grant. So these were grants of land that were either sold, most of it was sold or leased, and then the funds from those sales then would go to the various land grant colleges. So each state then would apply for a land grant college. Now this happened in 1862. So this is right in the middle of the Civil War. So the Homestead Act and the Land Grant Act both occur in 1862. They're really kind of tied together because they knew with all this new settlement, people would need to have some kind of experts to help them with farming, with developing infrastructure for these new areas. You have to build roads and bridges. You're going to have schools and all the things that we think of with society. Plus, farmers, many of whom didn't have agricultural backgrounds, now had 160 acres and they didn't know what they could grow. And so these land grant colleges were set up then to help them figure out what would be best for them to grow on their land so their resources would be used most effectively. Then the land grant mission then was to provide college education, so anyone could go in. I think at OSU, it was OAMC at the time, I think you only had to be 14 or 15 years old. Many of the students didn't have high school educations, so they would begin a preparatory program, which was 1 year of classes they would take to kind of see if they were up to muster for higher education. And then if they completed those classes in the year, they would be entered into the college curriculum. The key was, of course, education, first of all. The Morrill Act sets aside funds, or the Land Grant Act sets aside funds then for teaching people. But then there was another act, the Hatch Act, which created resources to support research. So, to do research, to figure out what was going to grow, what livestock would do well, they needed funding for that. And then a third act was the Smith-Lever Act, and it was passed to provide funds for extension. So not only do you teach students on campus, do research on your campus, usually at an agricultural experiment station, but then you take that information and you share it with your population around your state. And that's what we do with our extension service. There are extension agents that serve all of Oklahoma and all of the states that have agricultural land grant colleges have those kinds of services they provide to everyone. So the three really are the main pillars: are education, research, and then extension to share that information with anyone.